Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going to be going over RayLogan's defense, and we're going to just jump right into it. I agreed on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. Team number 1 is a Hydra 1.0 team. At 420k, this is a well-built team. Much like the Heroes for Hire, about 420 kind of means they got to use something. They got to use something against this team, whether it be a Kestrel to kill him without reviving, or a Black Bolt to kill him without reviving, or a Surfer to strip those charges. They're going to have to use something, and that means it's very frustrating. I think this team is making a comeback. It's an important team. There's a lot of old school teams making a comeback these days, actually. I think more of us should be using this team. Let's see if RayLogan is using them correctly. Striker on Red Skull is okay. I kind of like going Fortifier on the entire team because they're dying and reviving, and it makes them that much tougher to get through. They're all war ready. I like that. Raider over here, Trooper is spraying everybody. That's a good one. I think this is Scientist down here. He's Healer. That's good. Striker on Hydra Sniper to make him hit harder. That's okay. And we've got Healer on the Guard. Okay. You have one Raider putting out vulnerables for 2 Strikers, and you got 2 Healers. These guys are dying and reviving a lot, and a lot of times those rejuves aren't really happening. So I think you should keep Scientist as a healer because he does have some healing built into his kit. I think you should make Guard a Fortifier 100% for sure. You could make all of them Fortifier, but let's make Hydra Sniper a Skirmisher, or make Red Skull a Skirmisher. I think Hydra Sniper as a Skirmisher might be the way to go. And then Red Skull as a Striker. I don't know. Each of them have non-attack turns, so it's kind of frustrating that they're not getting value out of that Striker attack on their non-attack turns. Really, the best thing to do is the Fortifier across the board, man. It is so frustrating going into one of those teams, and they just start with that much more barrier every time they spawn back in. It makes you really want to come in with a Black Bolt or a Kestrel or something. Don't use Kestrel on this team. That's a waste of Kestrel, but use something. Anyway, not too bad. Not too bad. The other thing you could do is leave these guys as Strikers and make these guys either Raiders or Skirmishers to get more vulnerables on the field. Probably just Skirmishers or something. That's something you could do. All in all, I kind of like what you're doing. I think we could be doing something better, but I'm going to give you a B+ for this team. I'm kind of enjoying it a bit. Why does my tab button not work? Stupid tab button there. Okay. All right, team number 2, PymTech, not a favorite of mine. I think we could do some better placement. We need to move Ant-Man and Stature to the outside. We need, oh, okay, just swap places with Yellow Jacket and Ant-Man, and we're fine. That's how it should be. Swap places with Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket, you'll be fine. Skirmisher on those guys, that's good. Healer on Wasp, Striker on Ghost, and Healer on Stature. I think Stature should be a Fortifier. She's a little bit squishy for a tank. She uses it really well. Well, she doesn't use it really well, but she needs it really well. Yeah, I think that one little placement change and you got a team. You could invest more in Yellow Jacket. Otherwise, man, 580, this is kind of a trolly team. Yeah, let's get a placement swap and then we're doing pretty good. So that's A- for that team. Okay, team number 3, Wave 1 Avengers, perfect placement. Perfect ISOs, good investment. You could bring up Hulk a little bit, but he's not too far off the mark. I'm going to give you an A for the team. Good job here. Team number 4 is Hela Mercs. I think Hela really anywhere is going to be a liability. Now, the reason she's not so much of a liability on this team is because the teams that utilize Greg for speed have trouble with the Mercs, and you have some powerful Mercs, you know, 7 Red Star Taskmaster opening up on a Bishop. That's going to be pretty rough, blinding that team and stuff. Yeah. And then, yeah, this is going to be a brutal team. It's actually a pretty good use. Other alternatives is a Doom Mercs. And then, of course, you could go with traditional Shuri or Ultimus on your Merc team. But this is something to do. I don't think Hela's going to be too big a waste. But, you know, if it were me, I might go in with like an Axeman and somebody like, somebody just really fast that's big enough to kill that Greg. Somebody really fast that could kill that Greg and not die, and give my team that turn meter, and then the Axeman would just take off and annihilate this team. So I still think Hela is a liability, but you're getting some decent value out of here. Otherwise, you could be using Hela on some other teams. We see her with New Warriors. We see her on Supernatural. We see Loki with New Warriors. We see Loki with Eternals. So it's something to do. All in all, I don't think it's bad. It's something that we don't see a lot, and I like finding new stuff. So placement is good. I think your power levels are fantastic. Your investment levels in these tunes is great. You may have over-invested in Loki, but there's a case to be made to building him up for your arena meta so that he doesn't die in an Icarus ult. Something to do. I don't think healer's the way to go, though. I think you should probably make him a skirmisher for sure. Skirmisher for sure, and you're going to get value out of him as a skirmisher in your arena. So there's a change that you could definitely do, is that one. Otherwise, I'm going to give you an A- for this team. I think it's all right. I'm curious to see if any of those speed metas could find a crack in the armor and use Greg to their advantage and get going on it. Team number 5 is the Doc Ock Sinister Six team. Now, this is a well-developed team. It's going to be a little bit more challenging for a Symbiotes to get in here and utilize them. They still can. These other members are squishy. The Axemen can do it also. You can also roll over this team with X Factor. I think this team dies too easily. One of the things I like to do is I go in, I have a 500 supernatural team, and I easily punch across on Doc Ock teams. It's a supernatural team. They're not a great team, and you don't, like, they can be used for a lot of old stuff, but not really anything. But so I use them on these Doc Ock Sinister Six teams where the Doc Ock is really big and the rest of the Sinister Six are not, and it works fantastic. And I always beat them in one shot, except for that one time on stream, but we don't talk about that. This team is well developed. My Supernatural would not beat it. However, I think my Symbiotes would. You've got great red stars in this team, so I know you don't want to waste them. I think the best thing you can do with this team is use them on offense. I really do think you should use this team on offense. It's no longer a liability for it. You can use the control features of this team to really do well. Healer on Doc Ock is a no-brainer. That's good. Raider on Electro, good. Let's do Striker on Mysterio is good. And then you've got Raider on Swarm is acceptable, and Striker on Shocker is acceptable. I think you should get some skirmishers on this team for when Mysterio calls an assist. Then they'll lay up that vulnerable and he'll double tap and clear things. You don't have to. These are good ISOs. I'm not going to dock you for it. Honestly, because this team is so well built, it's going to be more challenging for people to use Symbiotes in it. And you guys have been messaging me. You've been showing me the pictures. I'm seeing 3, 4, 5 defensive victories from like a solo Doc Ock because somebody didn't clear the team the first time. And if it's still gaining defensive victories like that, then I guess I got to start recommending that it's okay to leave it on defense. I just wish people would start clearing this team a little better. It's not very hard to do. Okay. So my grade for you is on this well-built team. Actually, I think you should change places with these two right here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's going to be summoning Rhino also, isn't he? Or is he going to be summoning Vulture? If he summons Rhino, bonus points for you, my friend, because Rhino is tougher for those speed meta teams to knock into the red or kill, and it makes it that much tougher. If he's summoning Vulture, which I can't remember, then whatever. Vulture's okay, I guess. Probably you're just using the team members with the biggest red stars, and that's okay. So for you, I'm going to give you a B for this team. It's pretty well built. You've got decent placement. You could swap places right here. I do think you should definitely be using this team on offense. I think it still is a liability, but it's not much of a liability at this power level, those red stars. It is going to be pretty tough. Maybe invest a little bit more into Mysterio, making him tougher for people to crack the shell on him, something like that. So hopefully this team holds up for you. I'd like to see him on offense, though. Team number 6 is Heroes for Hire. I like it when people push this all the way to the back of their lineup. Hide them, because this is the one everybody's looking for to assign attackers to. Let's see. I don't like your placement. I think Shang-Chi needs to be to the outside, so swap places with Misty or with Colleen Wing. Otherwise, this is fine. I prefer Iron Fist as a skirmisher, but healer's fine. A lot of people put him as a healer early on, didn't realize he's going to die and revive so much. Sometimes he's not a target, and so he's getting off a lot of rejuves. It's just the other members are dying, and they're not; those rejuves aren't happening for them. That's why I suggest skirmisher. Or if you're in a defense adjacent room, a defense down adjacent room, like adjacent to security, excuse me. You could make him a striker. That's pretty niche, and I don't know if it's worth it. So Yeah, placement swap, everything else is fine. I'm gonna go A- for that team. 7, New Warriors with Eternals. This is 2 defenses in 1. Or 2 offenses in 1, actually. So for me, this is kind of a waste. Super powerful team, but we do have counters for this. One of them we spoke about in the war review is that turn meter rewind team that can control this team very well. And then the members don't even take a turn and you can wipe them out. And there goes your million team to like a 600k punch up, just depending on how big their Kestrel is with the other members that turn meter rewind. However, you know, it could go sideways real easily on somebody if they do a misplay, and then this team's gonna annihilate anything. But honestly, you could come into this with a speed meta Eternals and blow them up too. So I think it's a waste of 2 really good offensive teams. I think you should split these 2 teams up. I think you should be using something like, I don't know, Loki and Drax or JJ and Drax with the New Warriors. And then with your Eternals, you could put in like Hela for a little bit of speed to go into a team like this and blow them up. Zemo also with those, you know, I mean, we are all seeing the arena matches going on with these, so anything. So for me, it's a well-built team. You got Skirmisher Striker combo right there. You got Striker on her, that's good. You got Skirmisher Striker combo on these. So the ISOs are right. Lots of investment in a very powerful team. It's just that it's kind of a wasted investment because of the simple counters that are going to destroy this much power. Better off splitting them up using 2 different offensive teams or at least 2 different defensive teams. So for me, this is a C, actually. You're doing everything right, except that you're using them all together in one place. So that's a huge liability. Team number 8, Symbiotes. Okay. I always say I use my symbiotes to beat your symbiotes. I don't know if my symbiotes could punch up to your symbiotes. Maybe I'd have to see what my symbiotes come out with a war bonus. Let's see, Striker, Skirmisher, Striker, Skirmisher, Striker. Man, a lot of people doing it that way. Okay. You got 3 strikers, 2 people putting out vulnerables. That's all right. You might change Scream to a Skirmisher. I mean, not at this. You've already invested in her, so leave it. But for those of you watching, I kind of like Scream as a Skirmisher, or even a Raider can work too. Just to get some more vulnerables on the field, because when you're using this team on offense, it's really clutch that you have enough vulnerables to use your anti-venom as a striker into those vulnerables, getting that double tap and really doing lots of damage, placing lots of negative effects. Same thing with Venom. He's clearing those positive effects and doing a really good job of clearing positive effects if there's a vulnerable. Yeah, this is okay though. Nothing special here. You could change the placement. Maybe swap places with Venom and Carnage to get them separate from get Carnage separate from anti-Venom, maybe. Don't even really need to do that. I'm gonna give you an A-. These just aren't my favorite ISOs, but it's not a terrible team. And really for you, you shouldn't change anything. Biggest thing, use this team on offense. They're pretty powerful. You know, use them to punch down into those 500 Asgardians we're finding these days. Team number 9. Secret Avengers with Kestrel and Fury. Get Fury off of this defense. My goodness, people, get Fury off of this defense. He's an absolute liability. He's putting out those minions, and he's allowing teams like this to come into teams like this and destroy it. You don't want to do that. Get Fury off this team. Or keep the team together and use them on offense. Man, hitting his special first, giving his team the speed that they need to go into. You could punch up 100 or 200k on a mirror match with this team. It's fantastic. So I really don't like Fury in there. I think he's a liability. I think you should be using the whole team on offense. But let's take a look at these ISOs. Skirmisher on Sam, Striker on her. That's correct. Healer. I think you should definitely go Raider on him. He's got crit built into his kit. He gives out some like energy to an adjacent people. So there's something to be said about that. Maybe put him on the outside next to Kestrel, something like that. And then make him a Raider. Healer and Striker, that's okay. I switched my Kestrel over to Raider and I like it better. I've used both Striker and Raider, and I'm telling you, I like Raider better. I get better results with Raider. However, it's close enough that with this investment, don't bother. It's fine. However, you do have only 1 Skirmisher putting out vulnerables. So, you know, if you were going to pilot this team and you had him as a Raider, then you'd have 2 people putting out vulnerables, 2 people soaking him up, and that would be really good. So, I don't like Fury on this defense. I don't like this defense on defense. And I don't really like this ISO on Fury. The other ones are acceptable for me. So, I'm going to give you a B- for this team. It's a very powerful team, but it can totally be beat. And it can totally be beat because of Fury on this team, so swap him out of there. Team number 10 is a Doom Emmarauder team. This is something we see a lot. This is going to be beat by your X Factor team. This is going to be beat by Symbiotes or X-Men, going off of those Doom bots. This could even be beat by a really big Shadowlands, but I don't know if anybody's building Shadowlands up big enough to compete with this. But yeah, X Factor is going to roll over this, and a lot of people have X Factor. You know, everybody's building X Factor for the unlock. What was that? Adam Warlock unlock, I believe. Yeah, so everybody's building an X Factor. They're going to have them up to, you know, 600, 700K, which isn't going to do this, but a lot of people are going to go ahead and take them up so that they can destroy this team. I think you can do better things with Doom. I think there's better hybrids out there, but this still is an effective one. It's a really big one. So you are, you know, there's a limit to what, you know, who's going to be able to attack into this. Strife is a fortifier always. He uses that barrier very well. Makes it very stubborn to get through him. Emma as a striker, that's interesting. You can. The only problem is you have one person putting out vulnerables and 4 strikers. Come on. Make her a skirmisher, or make her even better, a healer. Healer should be Sinister. I don't know why you have him as striker. I think that's a terrible pick. I think that's a terrible waste of ISOs. You know, he doesn't even have, like, not all of his moves are even attack. He's got a copy, and then he's got a heal, and then his basic, I think. Like, that's a terrible choice as striker. And then striker on Doom is okay. We're talking about Raider on Doom, but that's an exploratory conversation there. Raider on her, she should be a skirmisher. I hate these ISOs. I hate these ISOs. Yeah, so, okay, so switch this, switch her to a skirmisher. You know, you could swap her out for, Sabretooth as a Raider and get a lot more value because he's critting more and he's going to put more vulnerables on the team, but you're probably using him on offense on Weapon X. I really don't like these ISOs. I think you wasted a lot of blue ions, and I'm crunched for blue ions, so I kind of find that offensive that you waste ions making him a level 3 striker. That's upsetting. Okay, I'm going to give you a C for this team because it hurts me so bad. I think you need to change those ISO settings, and then maybe just build a different Doom defense. So yeah. All right, this has been RayLogan's defense. He's got some pretty powerful ones, but I see a lot of kind of simple mistakes that could cause a lot of damage to him. So I'm hoping he makes those changes. If you want your team featured on Defense Up, just contact me. Links in the description. Get a hold of me on Discord. Send me your picks. I'll get you on the list, and we can have you featured. Remember, guys, don't just have a good game. Be good to yourselves and others too. And I'll see you next time. Bye.